President Muhammadu Buhari is in Sochi, Russia for the Russia-Africa Summit, which kicks off today.
The summit will focus on exploring and expanding opportunities in security, trade and investment, science and technology, and gas production. President Buhari is expected to meet with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to strengthen relations in security, trade and investment, and building partnerships that will enhance Nigeria's huge gas potential following Russia's remarkable success in gas exploration.
Nigeria will also procure weapons, including fighter helicopters from Russia, to enhance the nation's ongoing fight against Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. Well, joining us now is a business and technology advisory, Adekunle Akindeji. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Now, some will say that China is the biggest power in Africa, considering it has about $200 billion US, so to speak, investment in Africa. But then how critical is this relationship that seemed to want to be built again with Russia? How critical is it in all of this aspect that we're looking at, agriculture, security, and even technology?
So thank you. I think there's no better time for such conversation to happen than now. If you look at the history or the economy of Russia over the last 20 to 30 years, Nigeria and Russia have a lot in common. They've been through recession in and out. They have a lot of things in similar in terms of natural resources. But what Russia has done over the years is to move from an economy that depends solely on one sector to a diversified economy. I'll give you an example. In 1990, for example, you find that Russia, the economy was in a big mess, so much so that they had to borrow about 20 billion naira from IMF. And this was even criticized by economists to say such money shouldn't have been given to Russia. But if you look at Russia in the last 20, 25 years, they have concentrated on areas that they believe they have strength. Such includes exportation of their energy area, and then developing the technology side of their economy, where so much so that they can then begin to play in the area of manufacturing of weaponry, ammunition, and the rest of it. I think that China, it's a good place to play, but relationship with Russia will give Nigeria as an economy some hedge and some bargaining power to negotiate better with big economies in the world.
Okay, so we are also getting weapons from China. Do you expect that this trip will further facilitate that quickly so we can easily fight the war against insurgency?
I so much believe so. And I think that for once, beyond the conversation around weaponry or ammunition, I'd like to see a conversation deeper into understanding how the economy of Russia, as it were, has been able to improve from what it used to be, knowing that 15, 20 years ago, they were probably in the same state that the Nigeria economy is now, and they've been able to turn things around to where they currently are. So
what do you think should be at the fore of the discussions today as the president meets with Vladimir Putin?
So I'll say three things. One should be around, of course, security issue is the most discussed conversation. But beyond that, I mean, because there's a saying that if you really want to make people rich, don't give them money, give them opportunities. So to create, I mean, to help around the security issue is not just about buying the weapon. We do need to buy such. But I want to see a transfer of knowledge, transfer of technical know-how from Russian-based companies, from Russian-based economy into Nigeria. That is the kind of conversation I expect to see the presidency having in Russia.
Now, we've seen a president to travel to different countries for meetings like this. But the questions that most Nigerians are asking is, how beneficial have all of these meetings been, and including this?
Oh, well, the most recent one I would remember would be the South African visit to discuss about the issue of xenophobic. And I did remember mentioning on this program that we haven't had the end of that conversation yet. And it's already in the news again. Having said that, I think that it's a meeting that must happen, it's a visit that must happen, and there's no better time to have this than now. For the very first time, and I would agree with the list of entourage that the presidency has gone into meeting this this particular period. So if you look at the ministers lineup and the people that accompanied him as listed in the paper or in the news for this particular conversation, there seems to be some level of seriousness. These are individuals that are directly involved in the areas of conversation, security, as the case, if you look at security, agriculture, natural resources and water views. So we're expecting to have a more positive, if I may use that word, outcome from this particular conversation.
Okay, so this is the first time we're having a Russia-Africa summit. We've had China-Africa summits, and it seems like the world is now, there's a scrabble for Africa. Everybody wants to come to Africa to explore. Now, is there something we're not seeing within that world leaders are seeing?
Well, that's a very correct statement to say, and the only place to look at really is Africa. In most European countries or Asia, what you have in terms of return when you put in your investment is mostly in one single figure. There are very few places in the country or in the continent where you can invest and have a double figure or double return in terms of figure. And in terms of development, there seems to be a gap in when you look at Europe and you look at Africa. So Africa is the next Europe, if I can use that word. Okay. Technically speaking, you would find people trying to explore opportunity in this direction. And with vast, mass, environment, opportunity in that space, whether in technology, health, whatever sector, I think that there's no far-fetched reason why I'm saying there's a reason why we have that kind of Sochi, okay?
Those kind of summits coming to Africa.
Coming to Africa, or people.
But has Africa itself, made available a level playing field, so to speak? Has it prepared itself? You said Africa is the next Europe.
Yeah.
But has it in itself built itself such that this other countries that are attracted to it? It's like a lady who people are attracted to. Her character will determine the sustainability of a relationship as much as people are attracted to her. But has Africa built itself in such a way that there is a sustainable relationship with these countries? It's not just these countries being attracted to you, but that they are here and you can gain something from it.
So some African countries have positioned themselves for such. Ghana, Kenya, you can begin to mention them. And we've seen in the last 5 years the kind of progress that they made. The question is Nigeria as a country position ourselves for that kind of conversation or for that kind of improvement? And these are the kind of conversation that we hope that as our president and the entourage goes into the room to have a conversation, the position Nigeria as a country that is ready for this opportunity. Because it's one thing to have conversation and bilateral agreements, it's another thing to have what it takes and be ready for such.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Adekunle Akindeji.
Thank you for having me
on TVC Breakfast.